Rose propagation is a great hobby amongst gardeners. Well, today I'm combining two tasks, training my Katrina Rose with taking cuttings and create more of Katrina Rose. Well, not in my garden, it is too small for such a powerful of a rose, but to give as gifts to my relatives and friends. As you can see, my Katrina Rose is sending these long, beautiful shoots all over the place, trying to conquer the area, right? And the beginner gardener might get stressed out about it, thinking, oh my gosh, what's my rose doing? It used to be all nice and compact, and suddenly all these long shoots in every direction. Well, it's actually a good sign that your rose is thriving. It wants to grow, and this is a time, the beginning of September, when we will experience all this wild growth. So the job of the gardener is not only to support the rose in its nice, healthy growth, but to be able to control its spreading habit, especially climbing and rambling roses. So for this rose, what I'm going to do here in this particular space, you see I built this custom support for it, with the thought that at the back I will trim everything what is extra there, because I want air circulation at the back here. As you can see, this area is slightly congested here, and congestion is not great for roses, especially if I ask this rose to grow in pot sun here, especially at the bottom here. So I want the air circulation behind here, and look at all those fresh stems created literally in several weeks. This rose is happy to do that. But I don't want that. That's touching my wooden shingles. That's not good for the house. That's not good for the airflow behind here. So whatever I cannot train, I am going to cut off and use it to create extra Katrina roses. And I'm going to go with the usual old granny's way of propagation, which is just put your cuttings into the soil, let them overwinter. And now is a good time to do it. This is the beginning of the fall. Actually, it's a great time here in Zone 7A, Connecticut, New England. The best two windows when to propagate roses would be in spring and early fall. And the difference is that in spring these softwood cuttings will root so much faster. But in the fall they will take longer, but you can forget about them, let them go through the winter, and just in spring be surprised by new growth. This way of propagation is not really good for professional gardeners who are raising a lot of new plants, because the rate of success is not really high. Well, with me it's fine. I'm going to take, looks like, a lot of cuttings here, because there are a lot of stems which are growing all over the place. And I'm okay, even if success is 50%, but we will see. I will keep you posted. So please do subscribe to see what happens with my Katrina Rose cuttings, and let's garden together, right? All right, so let's get my secateurs and train this rose. There was a question about this elastic, where I got it. Well, Etsy store was getting out of business, and I bought something like 200 yards. It's almost finished. But you can go for the green twine, and what I like about this elastic, stretches, doesn't damage the stems of the rose, and it lasts for several years. Yes, it gets discolored, but so what? I can reuse it over and over again. And Katrina Rose is such a happy producer of all sorts of long stems, very often not from the base, that I can train these long stems into the circular motion without worrying about the flower power, since anything growing down, usually rose doesn't want to create blooms on. But there is plenty to share, and my job is to cover these empty spots. So with Katrina Rose, because it's such a tough rose, we can go in any directions, bend any way we want these stems to bend. And the big bonus of Katrina Rose is that it doesn't have thorns. It's very, well, actually roses don't have thorns, they have prickles. So it's not a prickly rose. You see, I'm handling it with my bare hands because there is barely a prickle here. So here we have an empty spot here, and I'm going to train this long stem to go here. And that's about that. Tie it in. It doesn't have to be tight. And right here. Oof, all the rain. Feels good though. There is one old stem which potentially will be taken down next year. We will see. Maybe I will cut it right here because the growth here is twiggly. You see it's already getting thick here. So I will be looking to substitute that stem with something else. Here we go. And we will do this here. Something like this. To block this empty spot here. I actually will tie these two together. There is not much damage from prickles. Rose is not damaging itself. It's not a complicated business. All right, here we go. Here we go. This will go probably here. This will go all the way out there. Now, this beauty. Let me get on the ladder. My suggestion for people who are trying to grow rose in a tight space, and rose is clearly outgrowing its space, not to tie it tight with strings, but to trim it. In case you can't fit the rose into a space, don't make it all congested because the air is not there, the diseases will move in and your rose will suffer. It's better to trim it, better to prune it to the space. Or even better would be not to plant your rose in such a tight space. Here my Katrina, let's see what it's going to produce. But if I clearly am running out of space here with this rose, I wouldn't have a choice. I will just have to prune it. Here comes the sun. It's gorgeous right now in the garden. And each rose situation is different, of course. Here, my job is to train it in a very narrow shape. If you need to train your rose in the direction you want, I notice that a lot of rosarians run into this problem, but how do I create that mass? Because the problem is, when we train our rose, it just sticks usually in spring. So what I tell folks who I'm helping usually, I tell them, okay, this is a stick in spring, but just imagine it's going to be this growth in summer around that stick. So just imagine it's not only a stick, it's like this tube of growth growing into the direction you want. And it looks like it helps gardeners to envision that it's not only sticks, it's this mass of growth growing where you want it to grow, right? So now I'm going to take and try to train everything from the back into the trellis back, and whatever I cannot, we will just cut. The job is done. As you can see, it's all nice and managed. No stems going into every direction possible wild. I managed to train everything away from the house, but one long, fresh, beautiful stem. So it's going right straight into the house. So that's the one we are going to cut approximately this distance from the main stem and make it a lateral stem. and propagate it. You see this angle? It was going against the house and then nowhere to go, so it bent and went up. This is what we want. There is one more. Oh no, that's a side shoot. It actually went into the shingles. Unbelievable. Ay, ay, ay. So instead of throwing these beautiful healthy stems into the garbage, they are nice and green, we can propagate them and create more plants for free. So what we need for this, we need the rooting hormone, the rooting powder, which helps the plant to create roots, and we need secateurs, very sharp pruners, because we don't want to have that crushing cut where diseases can come in. So this is how we do it. Cut it just above the leaf node, and then repeat and repeat. I'm not going to go into anything softwood because it's not going to have a very high success rate. So this goes into the garbage. But we can do something with this one too. This is crooked but stiff. So I'm going to go with this here. And the bottom, just under the leaf node. All right, we take our leaves off. People say not to leave some leaves, but I do. And it's important not to switch the bottom and the top, because the rose definitely will not grow. And what else I like to do? I like to scratch the stems here to wound them. This way the roots are going to be created on all the surface, not only at the bottom. Very important step. And it doesn't matter in which manner you wound it, as long as wounds are there. All right, so we have 5 cuttings and we are ready to put it into the soil. Dappled shade would be the best, and I think I have a space right there near my raspberries, and I have my edger. The best way to do the long cuts into the ground, because if these guys goes into a rooting hormone, you don't want to push them through the soil and all the hormone is left on top and then there is nothing. So we're going to actually take a cut in the soil, make a trench, place these and then push the soil in. So this is going to be a little trench here I'm going to make. Be well, my dear gardeners. I will see you in our next video.